Hello, and welcome to On Mute Now Podcast Season 3. We are four ladies on a mission to raise the volume on the conversations that matter. To those of you joining us on the live stream, thank you. You can join in on the banter and lively discussions across our social media and other podcast platforms. Are you ready? Let's go.
This is Unmute Now Live. You are very, very welcome. Woo! We're all excited to be here. And I want to extend a huge welcome to all our old friends as well as our new friends. Our old friends have already, and let me say that properly. Our friends who have been with us for a while. Not that you're old necessarily, but we have had loads of interaction already. Well, some interaction already on Facebook and YouTube. And we're very, very pleased that you're here and you're going to be joining us in real time in our conversation. So today we are going to share with you a few people trying to present to you our strapline. You know what they are. James, our technician, or our master videographer or master editor, is going to be queuing up one of our tagline samples for us to hear. Let's go, James.
Unmute now, raising the volume on the whispered conversations in our community.
Raising the volume on the whispered conversations in our communities.
And the challenge is there for you. Would you like to try out your creative way of sharing our tagline with the rest of the world? If so, audio record yourself saying our tagline, which you can find on all our socials, and share it with us at unmutenow1@gmail.com. And we're going to try and include as many of these as we can throughout the season. Okay, so let's get started. Ladies, I'm going to ask you to just say hello and say your name, just in case there are people who have never met us before. Angela.
Hi, I'm Angela. I'm so excited that we're starting season 3. And if you're new with us, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you've been with us all this time, thank you so much. We love you. Let's go.
As.
Hi, my name is Natasha. If you're new, welcome. If you've been with us for the past 2 seasons, thanks for coming back. And exciting things happening this season. And we're happy to have you and to have the live interaction. Hi, Ezekiel. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Nicole. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Marta.
Hi. And you, Yan.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm actually the only one who would be brave enough to say I'm nervous as heck. I am so happy that you people, and in Belfast, it's the yous, that you can join us. And we're looking forward to a brilliant conversation this evening and every week. So we've changed the format. It's 10 intense weeks coming up. Well, 9 after this. So glad to have you.
Okay, so what I want you to do then, ladies, is to talk about what's new. What is new with us? Each person just giving me one thing. I'm going to start with Yolande and work backwards the way around I just did. So one thing that's new, Yolande.
Well, here, I'm going to go both ways. What's new personally and what's new for Unmute Now. Personally, I have completed my master's in law. It was the most difficult thing I had to do, working full-time and studying full-time. But hey, guys, I'm doing this for the community. Spot me in human rights law sometime in the future. But anyway, what's new for Unmute Now is really this. We're going live. There's so many things that we have planned that we are not really allowed to say yet. We have funding for something that's coming up later in the year. I'm only going to give you one word, mentorship, and that's it.
Okay, well done, Cass.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in terms of On Mute and Pivot, which is our governing body, our governing brand of On Mute, we did a lot of workshops and events over the summer. So that's why we took so long to be here for season 3. But you have to wait for good things, so that's good. And with me personally, I don't know who was here in season 1 when they mentioned that I was supposed to be working on a book. I finished one. I have finished. It's
What
not
happened?
published. Hello, one step at a time. It's not published, but I finished a book of poetry, and I just have a few tweaks to work out with the publishing. But then it'll be available on Kindle, and hopefully I'll have a print version of it as well. So finally, it only took me about 10, 15 years, but hey.
Angela.
Well, yeah, as far as On Mute is concerned and Pivot, as Tassia said, we've been real busy. New stuff for us that's happened over this last few months, doing stuff with the Belfast City Council, doing stuff with other organizations that we've partnered with. So that's been fantastic. For me personally, yeah, still doing a lot of community work, kicked off a new project, which is going really, really well, really pleased about that. And also trying to get back into just kind of releasing some new music. So something's coming up soon at some point.
Yolanda's coming for you with that new
I
book.
can't believe you didn't
Yolanda's coming for
mention.
you.
Yolanda's coming for me, I know.
I know, and I can't believe you didn't mention the project. Is that out of the box you're talking about?
Well, yes. So Out of the Box is a chat show that I do with my husband and a couple that are also based in the Netherlands, and we talk about all things relationship. So it makes for some lively discussions, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting going forward. So yeah, stay tuned. Thanks, Yolanda.
We've been, and it's great. So look out for out of the box. It's definitely worth your time and effort, and definitely worth recommending to other people for relationships and so on. Okay, so we have talked about what's new. One thing I'd like to add is that, and to point out, is that we have a new time and a new frequency. So we are at 8 p.m. on a Friday night now, and we are on every week. I know some of you are jumping for joy. You have been asking for this for a long time. When are we going to get you every week? So here we are. We're every week for the next 10 weeks. Okay, so what's been new with me? I have been doing some writing. I have been a part of an anthology, and I am now working on the Poetry in Motion Schools project, as well as lots of substitute teaching. Lots happening in my family. But yeah, so life is exciting. Life is exciting. Okay, Natasha, can I just ask you to say one thing about the website?
Oh yes. So our as I mentioned before, UK Pivot is the more or less the governing body for Unmute Now podcast, and we're launching our website on Monday. I see our website designers on our chat. Hi Marie. We've been giving her so much trouble. Oh my goodness, but she's a good egg. So that ukpivot.com should be launched next week. And we have a page on there that's dedicated to our podcast. So just for any updates, anything podcast related would be on there, but also the things that we do outside of the podcast. So our workshops and events that we're having, things we're involved with, and we're also featuring persons from the community who are doing different things.
Yeah.
If you're an artist and you have a show coming up or something like that, just give us a shout on our social media, send us an email. We're happy to promote you. Each one, help one. That's what we're all about, community work. So hit us up, let us know about your event, and we'll be happy to feature you on our website. So just check it out, ukpivot.com, coming soon.
Okay.
Can I jump in very quickly and say, I don't know if Raquel has this on her agenda. I can't remember. And I know we're going to get into the real big conversation very soon. But I want to mention very quickly our winter wellness walk that is coming up very, very soon in December. So look out for that. We're going to want to have you along the route with us right here in Belfast. Listen, it's all about wellness. So be there.
It's December 17th. and we are starting at 5:30 from Crescent Park, that's in South Belfast. So you have to walk and get fit before we start eating up all that Christmas food.
That's
So
right.
Absolutely.
we may have
It's
to
called
walk after
credit.
Christmas. Yes. We may have to walk in January again, but never mind. We'll walk this before Christmas to
Yeah.
get ourselves ready for the extra space we're going to need in our trousers.
Brilliant. Thanks for bringing that in. Just want to have a quick think about topics. So, first of all, I'm going to say to the audience, send us a message at Unmute Now. What kinds of topics or issues are on your minds that you don't often get an opportunity to have conversations about? You can do that on the social media platform of your choice. But also, I'm going to throw that to Angela. What kind of topics have we been thinking about for Unmute Now Season 3?
Oh, wow. We've got a whole
Don't
range
give
of.
us all. Don't give us all. Just give us probably two.
Okay. Well, we're going to do some serious things, right? As well as some humorous things as well. So when we're talking about serious things, things that are on people's heart, things to do around employment and getting on in the professional world, and some issues that may arise in that. So we're going to be looking for some guests to join us to discuss things around that as well. So yeah, that's one area that we're definitely going to cover amongst the many. Should I
Yeah.
not say too much? I'll stop.
You're allowed one more. One more.
One more? Okay. Well, we might also be talking about relationships between men and women and how we maybe sometimes misunderstand each other. That'd be interesting. Let's see.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, James, please feel free to fire up any suggestions people have given us about what topics or issues are on their minds that they don't often get an opportunity to talk about. But today, one of the topics we thought we would bring to the fore is the whole topic of code switching. Code switching, I hear you say. What is that? James is going to be playing for you a little demonstration of code switching, and then I think you'll know exactly what we mean.
Hello, good morning. May I help you? Oh, are you? Lord girl. Long time I don't hear from you. This COVID thing you really a mash up with life. Anyway, what you saying to me?
So there we have it. An example of code switching. Nice and polite and English version to start. And then, of course, when she recognizes who it is, it's that, into the Jamaican Creole, etc. So yeah, that's what we're talking about when we talk about code switching. And I just have to give a big shout out and credit to Michelle in Jamaica who sent that to us. Thank you very much, Michelle. I know that you are
Thanks,
you
Michelle.
are rooting for us. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so hands up, ladies. Do you do it? Own up.
All the time.
Guilty.
All the time. I just did it. before we came
Unashamedly.
on. I just did it.
Okay, so yes, you do the code switching. Let me ask you this. Why do you do it? Yolande, do you do it? Why do you do it?
I think code switching, well, honestly, I'm not big on it. And I find it generally big, and I'm accusing people like Angela. It's big for people who speak a different language. Yeah? So they
You're
go
just jealous.
yeah. So for me though, my code switching is probably gestures. Me and my mom, for example, have our own codes of how we communicate in the public, and it don't need to even be verbalized at all. It really is facial expressions because I'm the Grinch, and so my face has many forms of communicating. I think for me as well, code switching in the workplace. I'm going to be honest, it's difficult because sometimes you find yourself isolated as the only Black person. So, who on earth am I going to code switch with, really? It's kind of difficult for me in my context to really code switch. But, yeah, I do it sometimes.
Okay. What about you, Natasha? You put your hands up. You admitted it to it.
I do it all the time. I do it all the time. I like when I speak to my friends and family from home because then I feel like I'm brushing up on my dialect. I'm not losing my Antiguan twangs, So, like for instance, I could right now say, I want to go into Belfast just for a wee bit of shopping. and I look outside and see somebody, I'd be like, hey, me go Belfast, go tongue right now. I'm like, what?
Yes, Natasha and I do that. I have to admit,
Yes.
Natasha does that
I
with
don't even
me.
need to think about it. In the switch of a hat, I just go from standard English to something. People are like, what are you talking? Are you speaking English?
But you
I
know,
just
can
saw
I say,
one.
Natasha, you see the fact that you mentioned the Antigua and twang, hear this about code switching. You see,
Yes.
when you go back home, right, and you want to now switch into how foreign you are, that kind of code switching happens too. You don't go back with the dialect sometimes. You go back with a foreign twang that is very, very,
Yes.
very, very deep. So sometimes code
Yes.
switching is not going to your local. Code switching is going to showing off yourself. You know, you're foreign.
Very true. That's very true. I see in
That's
the chat
true.
there, Nikki saying, "No forget the yai them."
I know she's talking to me, but here, Nikki, go away.
There's some code switching for you. Dear. But Miss Lou, the Jamaican poet and social commentary expert, did a whole poem on No Little Twang about a mother whose son had gone away and she wanted to impress her friends with some twang and he didn't, and she was very embarrassed. But Angela, your turn. You put
You
your
know,
hands up
it's
and you said
funny.
very
It's
clearly.
funny that Yolande said that when you go back home, you want to sound more English. For me, it's the complete the other way around. When you go back home, you want to sound as local as you, because otherwise they take you for a ride. You go to the market and you're like, how much is this? And they give you some ridiculous figure because you sound like you're not from here and you look like you're not from here. So you go deep, deep
Deep.
so that you're not taken
Yeah.
for any fool. You know,
Yep.
but the whole code switching thing, I do it without even thinking about it. And it's just, and it takes different formats, right? So it's either I go from English to Yoruba, which is my native language, or from English to English with a Yoruba accent, you know, or from English to some pigeon form of English. I mean, it just depends who you're talking to. And it's
Yes.
so natural. It's just so natural. I don't even think about it. But I think when I'm in the presence of people who don't understand, you know, that I think I'm a bit more conscious. It's just when I get into
Yeah.
certain gatherings, I'm like, you sound a bit pretentious otherwise, you know? So you just go deep without even thinking about it.
Very true.
That's
Ezekiel
Ezekiel's
is,
comment. Yes, Raquel.
yes. Go on then, Yolande.
Oh, I just Ezekiel was basically, saying what you're saying, Angela. It's so refreshing and natural that
Yeah,
sometimes you do it and you don't even realize it. Thanks,
that's right.
Ezekiel.
Yes.
Happy to see you.
Yes. Very
And you know
true.
what? Nigerians, I'm saying it now. Any Nigerian on the line, you can't deny this. We are bad for this, like really bad. It's in the DNA. And most times when you're speaking your language, right? It's like you can't finish the sentence without throwing a bit of English anyway. So it even works the other way. But yesterday, apples and bananas. You know,
Yes.
people think what's going on. So I think we're really, really guilty of doing things like that. Now, for anybody who's ever been in that situation where Nigerians have just broken into it, forgive us. It's not about you. It's probably not about you at all. Nothing about that. So just forgive us and let it be.
But on that topic, as you talk about other people and how it impacts them, I just think it would be great to hear in the chat, how does it make you feel sometimes when people are code switching with you? Ezekiel has told us about how it feels for him when people code switch with him, or if people are code switching in front of you. And I'd like to hear, the various different reactions about that. I'm going to throw that one to Yolanda again because you talked about it.
Wait, Angela already alluded to it. I think they bad mind me and chatting about me. I mean,
Me? No way.
but she's already said it's nothing to do with you. Yeah, right. But I mean, I suppose to tell you the truth, the way that I look at it, brethren, me don't really care anyway. So you code
That's
switch all
true.
you want. I'm good. I'm cool.
I'll tell you what, my best friend is in New York and currently she's working from home. So she will mute herself. I hope her boss is watching. She'll mute her. I will hear her speaking, in a meeting or whatever, and it's very American or whatever. And then she will just put them on mute and say, "So Natty, yes," and and it's two totally different people. She just goes straight and then she'll click back on and just go off again. I just laugh because it's just natural. When you speak to someone who shares your culture or they're from where you're from or they speak your language, it's comforting. to revert to that and to just be free and not have to worry about being misunderstood or somebody not, understanding what you're saying. You just du-du-du-du-du-du. But for people who are not of that, culture or whatever, then you have to switch back into a speech pattern that they will recognize and understand.
Brilliant. Okay, so in the chat, I see Nikki saying she went to a football match in white America, and that everything was good. Then a Caribbean, a Kittitian,
Petitions
that's
from St.
something.
Kitts. Yeah.
Bossa Royal Jamaican bad word. Okay, she didn't realize that she could switch, and nobody couldn't understand at all after that. Okay,
No, but you see, that is
in English, the person spoke a bit of a swear word, a Jamaican swear word, and immediately she responded to the person because she knew that person had to be Jamaican, and she spoke Jamaican to them, and everybody else around her completely unaware of what was being said.
What's taking
was
place.
going on.
I think
But it's interesting because I see Geraldine saying variety is the spice of life. So that's a really
good.
healthy approach and attitude towards it.
And we like our spices. Hello.
I wanted to jump in and comment on something Nikki said that brought this to my mind. I don't know if you picked up Nikki right, but here it's a Kittitian that busts the Jamaican bad word. That is very important because sometimes as Caribbean people, we kind of code switch on each other. So I remember when I studied in Jamaica, I picked up some of the Jamaican twang, and I was able to use that and made the mistake of using something that I didn't know was a bad word in a class that Jamaicans call a bad word. And then my Jamaican friends would want to learn Vincy twang, so they would then be able to go home on the weekends and come back and say, my mommy said I sounded so different. Because you're picking up and code switching on somebody else's kind of dialect, which is interesting.
Yes.
And that borders on a whole nother conversation about this whole thing of cultural misappropriation and all of that. But that's
one
a conversation
Caribbean
for
friend,
another
one
day.
Caribbean.
I'll tell you what, though, Raquel and Natasha are really good at code switching when it comes to Northern Ireland, right? I think you should throw in a couple. I've got a friend, right? I've got a friend here.
On the spot.
Yes. While you think about it, let me tell you, I got a friend here, and her name's Shirley. So some of you online, I see a few people online who would know her. You know what I'm talking about. So she's been here since she was very, very young, right? Maybe from about age 10 or something like that. So when she's speaking, she's from Liberia originally. She's speaking, maybe with a bit of a Liberian accent, and all of a sudden she's gone, if you want to laugh, I don't even try and do the accent, but she goes deep. I'm like, what? What just happened? So let's hear it, Raquel and Natasha. No pressure.
Okay. So
Natasha,
you
you go first. No, you go first.
It has to be a sentence that having the two very famous words, now and down.
Yes.
now and what?
Now and down. Nine.
Dine. I'm going
Dine.
down
Nine.
and nine. Yeah. Access nine.
Nine. Access nine.
Access nine.
Raquel, you're a natural at that. Listen, I can't blame you, girl. You've been here long enough. I wouldn't even try it. It just sounds unnatural and feels very unnatural to me. Can't do it.
Very good. And Ezekiel is saying a very inventive English word we use in Ghana is a forbidden word when speaking in English. Okay, that throws a very interesting twist to it. Because if it's okay in English, but when you say it in Ghana, it's not, or vice versa, then you do need to be pretty careful. A bit like
I'm curious now what that word is.
Don't tell us on air, please.
Please don't.
Tell us on the side.
Yes, that reminds me of what Yolande just said about, in the middle of the class coming out with a Jamaican swear word. Yes, and I'm sure everybody turned around and look at you, like, really? Because, of course, that's part of the thing about code switching. You have to know your context. You have to know when it's appropriate to do it and when it's not appropriate to do it. And that can be tricky. Nikki says, and that's the thing. For some dialect, sound kind of wrongish with the foreign accent.
Yes. I tell you what.
And in Jamaica, we say the foreign accident.
Yes. Does anyone have any of you ladies ever experienced? Do you know, like, okay, maybe you're in the workplace or maybe you're out shopping or something, and something annoys you, and you want to express your annoyance, but you can't get it just right in standard English, and you have to go back to your roots and bring it
I tell you something.
and just
There are
babble it
times,
out, and people look at you like, what? But you feel better
absolutely,
because you were able to express it.
absolutely. There are times when disciplining your children that you cannot
Oh,
say.
Jeremy. Oh, Jeremy. That's one big one, Raquel.
Mhm.
It comes
Tell us
out
more.
better now.
Tell us more, Leanne.
My children knew the telling off words before they knew anything else in Yoruba.
Listen, in these
Jeremy,
countries, you can't make them know what you're saying when you're disciplining your children. You have to go back to your roots. And
very true.
may I throw this in because Natasha is our social media guru, and I know Natasha posted today it's International Men's Day. So I
Yes.
know we want to acknowledge that code switching could very well be a different dynamics altogether when men are doing it versus when women are doing it. We don't have any men on our podcast here today, but sure, men, we don't know what your thing is, but hope you can communicate well with the other brethren.
Of course, when you say we don't have any men on the podcast, you mean
I
as
mean, as
guests,
hosts,
right?
as
Yes,
hosts.
yes.
As hosts,
But
right?
happy
Okay.
International Men's Day, Ezekiel
Happy
and James
International
and all
Men's
the other
Day.
men who are watching this.
Absolutely.
Enjoy your day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I
Right.
hope you didn't
Well,
get socks for your gift.
one last little question I want to ask is how common do you think it is? People in the chat feel free, but how common do you think it is? And I want to just bring in the Northern Ireland version of that as well, because I'm sure you've been to Ballymena and heard Ballymena, hey, how they speak in Ballymena. And is it a very common thing? Sometimes also you have a deep Belfast accent, and is it very common that people will, change from the kind of mode of speaking that everybody will understand to one that is kind of back to the village that you've come from? Is that very common? What do you guys think? Natasha, I'll start with you.
Well, I know probably one of the first places I worked when I moved here, and it was in a call center. And as you know how call centers are, it was massive. A lot of people from all over, and did have some people there from like Lurgan and Ballymena and Coleraine and things like that. And I have heard people say they try to thin out their accent a bit because in Belfast, people, especially when you speak fast, because to you, you're just speaking normal. You were getting a lot of, huh? What? Hey, so they would thin it out a bit, but you can tell when they were speaking to each other, you couldn't understand. It was just so thick, you couldn't understand. So I guess maybe that might be a form of code switching. You're not really changing your language, but maybe you're watering down the thickness of your accent a little bit just to be understood a bit clearer.
Okay.
I know we're coming to the end, so well, I'm assuming Raquel is going to bring us to the end. But I think for me, I'm just gonna jump in very quickly and say, here it is. For me, and I know I'm throwing this in, it's the jurisdiction thing that bothers me. You see, understanding the Scottish accent, that is the problem. I'm not gonna go down that conversation because we need to wrap. We've been so happy to have you guys, but it's the jurisdiction. Some parts of England, some parts of Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales. Me, I can't deal with it. Sure.
Angela, any final thoughts?
I remember even the code switching can take different formats. You were saying something earlier on about, when you're angry, you might come out with it. I remember one day I was actually in court and I'm listening to a witness who, quite frankly, I'm like, you're telling lies. And I'm getting so upset in my mind. I nearly spoke in tongues. That's another code switching altogether for those of you. Honestly, I had to hold myself. It nearly came out. So that's a whole nother type of code switch, and it can take so many different formats. We'd love to hear your stories, guys. Tell us about your experiences too.
I like
Absolutely.
that comment from Geraldine. Sorry, Raquel. Cultures should cuddle.
Oh, I love
like
that.
That's so lovely.
Brilliant
We love
one.
you,
Very, very
That's
good one,
nice.
Geraldine. Cultures
That's
should
nice.
cuddle. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, look, guys,
All right.
hashtag it, and add that one to the social media. And that's where I'm going to just invite you all to tell somebody else about what happened here tonight, as we did on Mute Now live. Please share it, like it, comment on it, tell somebody else about it, and definitely get in touch at unmutenow1@gmail.com, at unmute now on all our different social media locations, platforms. That's right. And all that's left is for me to ask you all to say your goodbyes and to thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you all so much.
See you next
All right,
Friday.
you've been great. Love the interaction. Bye.
One
Thanks for listening to our On Mute Now podcast. If you would like to be in on the conversations live, follow us on our social media platforms during our live broadcasts. We are at Unmute Now 1 on Twitter and at Unmute Now on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platforms. Like, follow, and rate us on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a voice message on Anchor, and like, subscribe, and comment on our YouTube channel. If you want to raise the volume on something or contact us, email onmutenow1@gmail.com. Unmute now.